Hey Hmmwv owners, I am broadcasting you from Denver, Colorado, my new home sweet home. And today we're actually going to take a quick look at something I've been seeing a lot of threads about online. People are trying to troubleshoot is the issues with their canvas cargo extensions and then the sagging they've been having with this excess material, whether it's factory or aftermarket, and how they deal with it. Normally in the bows here, you have one solid bar right in the middle that goes between and spaces them perfectly, which is great. But the downside is if you've ever want to take this off really quickly, you can leave the skeletonized framework here in the bows just as is and cruise around like that. But if you ever want to collapse it, that bar that goes in between is tagged between the two bows with machine screws. So you have to unscrew the thing every time. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So one of the things I've been playing around with, actually when I've had that in there and it's been rigid, is stringing 1-inch webbing like in X fashion on either side of that central bar. And that seems to hold up the canvas pretty well and mitigate water pooling and kind of sheds everything off. What I've just tried today actually is first do the same thing. Grab on each side some webbing, zigzag it between, use a buckle so you can make it nice and taut. Then once everything's nice and taut, use electrical tape or something to kind of anchor those down where the webbing hits the bow here, whatever you have, just to hold it in place. And then you're still going to use a buckle or something to, there we go, you can kind of see it here, to cinch it up nice and tight. But either way, getting rid of that bar and using some kind of webbing allows you to just unhook these tensioners here, front and back, and then you can just take the whole thing and collapse it forward. Now, one thing I wanted to after I did that, I found out that the way it's, these brackets right here, the way they're positioned, they're off axis of each other. It's more so designed for dropping it down like that, which is perfectly fine. But again, if you have all this webbing here, that's going to be hanging down and flapping in the breeze and whatever. So what I was hoping, and I should have saw this beforehand, is to be able to pitch it forward and then have it just rest on the back of this, and then you can just keep everything taut by re-engaging these tension straps. But the downside of that is this back one here, because these bracket pins are off axis, is this sits on the first one. Now this is right in the middle. The way they're cut, even though they're off camber of each other, they still sit the same height. Now if you were pitching this way, they would just, if you look at that bracket, they're gonna be plenty of room. They're not gonna impede each other, and at the point you want, they're gonna sit right on top of each other. So if you want to do this, you want to pitch it forward to kind of look like civilian H1 where the support brackets are for the roll bars. If you want to make it look like that, which is kind of what I'm shooting for, I don't want to have everything hanging off the back. You're gonna have to take this bracket, because again, everything looks like it's centered. There's 2 bolts here. You can access them from underneath. And then you may have to pull the pins and take off the bows here, which is fine. But either way, take these brackets, this whole thing, and just flip it around. So instead of having the bracket angling up, like a slant back towards the top there, you're gonna want the bracket angling back towards the rear. And then what that's gonna do is that's gonna take basically to transition this, let everything fall forward, not impede each other. Otherwise now you're sitting like 6-7 inches above the roof line. And it's fine and all, but again, these are pressing on each other. This looks kind of stupid sitting up above the roof line here. I want everything nice and flush below the roof line, and just kind of neat, simple design. So we're gonna come back in a minute. I'm gonna unbolt everything, flip it around, see how it looks, see if it lines up. It should, and we'll take it from there, okay? Hey everybody, so we came back, put the bows back on, and it looks like the offset of the bracket here, when flipped around, may not be a problem. That's the height on the roof line. Distance I measured from the material where it wraps around the hook is pretty much the same. So it'll pivot just above, get a little bit of slope still, and then the back may get a little bit more slope. Turn a bit more height, but at the same note, I've always had a lot of slack back here, so it looks like it should be okay. Yeah, flipping that bracket around, and then of course that's all that webbing I was telling you about. Get rid of the bar. Folds out really nicely. Very convenient. And then when you want to throw the canvas back on, boom. Just angle it, lock down your straps, and you're in good form. So that's kind of like the QuickBooks version of how to get your bows and your canvas back up. Now the only downside is, yes, you have all these pieces of webbing kind of hanging around, but use your imagination, figure out how to secure those, get them out of the way if need be, but nonetheless, the alternatives, these little pins down here to put the bows on and off. Not super hard to deal with, but kind of a pain in the butt. Especially if you lose one of these little clips, forget about it. You have to go back to the hardware store, more trips. So if you happen to be able to find quick release pins, same length and diameter, definitely try going with those. That's it. Don't forget, post your videos, make it a great day.